They're not always going to be easy, but today the Illini basketball showed you that it doesn't have to be.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome all to another edition of Locked On Illini. Thank you so much for making us your first listen each and every day. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one in the entire country. W's in the chat. Thank you for joining me to the often imitated, never duplicated live postgame show of this Illini. Look, I know a lot of people out there doing this, but you join me each and every day. I appreciate all of you. And what a game this was to watch. Illinois defeats Texas Tech. Number 14 Illinois defeats number 11 Texas Tech 81-77. A game that started off like it was a dream. In that first half, Illinois looked like the best team in the country. The Talk Illini Discord was popping. Messages every half a second. People hyping up this team. How can you play defense against this team? And then the second half happened. And basically what we ended up with was the exact type of game that I felt like this team needed to go through, that I needed to see with my own eyes this team go through. And I'm going to explain why. But I think you guys are going to know why I'm going to say this. By the way, obviously my name is Sunny Verma. If you're joining me for the first time, this is Locked On Illini. I do Illinois content each and every day, 25 to 35 minutes, even on the weekends, and after every football game and after every men's basketball game. So if this is your first time in here, make sure you hit the like button on this video. Make sure you're subscribed, because nights like this make it worth it. Because nights like today show me that this team is for real. It's one thing to beat Jackson State by 55. It's one thing to beat Florida Gulf Coast by 40 plus. But you had a team that went to the Elite Eight last year. A team that has the best player in the country right now. Maybe the two best players on the court coming into this game. You were without your all Big Ten center. Illinois wins 81-77. If that doesn't give you confidence, my friends, I don't know what will. I'm going to reverse this real quick. I'm going to go with the stats first this time. I know I usually talk about the game, but I'm going to go through the stats because there's something that really has me hyped. By the way, let me know who the MVP of this game is. I think we all know who the MVP of this game is, but let me know, and I'm going to get to that in the second segment. Okay, David Mirkovic had 11 points, 5 of 13. Let's just start with what are we debating here? Forget it. Let's just throwing all my notes away. The MVP of this game was Andre Stojakovic. Talk about a coming out party. A guy who'd missed 6-7 weeks of practices. Brad Underwood, went out of his way to talk about that. He had a okay debut against Florida Gulf Coast. He had a very sloppy first half, but I talked about like his box score didn't look great, but I really liked his aggressiveness in that second half. To me, mentally, he showed me that he was healthy. And that translated to today. There was zero hesitation on Andre. Andre's looked like he's been playing with this team all 3 years of college basketball. He was that good. He started off, I think, 5 for 5 in that first half, just attacking the rim, doing things that nobody else on this basketball team can do, which is why I'm sitting here with a smile on my face, and I know you guys are too. Imagine being a defensive coach trying to guard this Illinois basketball team with how many weapons that they have. I mean, it's incredible. You would think. You saw, again, what could have been a top Final Four team in the country in that first half. But we all know, if we had to collectively, as Illini fans, talk about, hey, what could be the weakness of this offense if the threes don't fall, right? Tell me if I'm wrong. If the threes aren't falling, then what happens to this basketball team? Then how do they adjust? What do they do? Illinois basketball, to my knowledge, I don't know if they hit one late, had 0 3-point shots made in that second half. A team that we all got sick of how many times they shot the three-pointer last year. And even through the first two games, even though they were very dominant victories, a lot of us, me not so much, but a lot of fans, understandably and justifiably, were just getting a little nervous that, again, you're relying too much on that three-pointer. Didn't matter. 0 in the second half today. And still, even though the best player in the country played like the best player in the country today in that second half, and I mean, let's just give props to JT Toppin. I said in the preview that he's the best player we're going to face off this season. You saw it. Just simply unstoppable. I don't think he missed a shot in that second half. There's nothing we could do about it. But it didn't matter. Ultimately, this team, what I loved about this game was we've been comfortable for 5 halves this year. The Jackson State game, Florida Gulf Coast, and the first half of this Texas Tech game. And then the second half started. Texas Tech scored what, like 11 straight points or something like that? I think they made their first 11 shots. Illinois finally got punched in the face. A team that, last year a lot of people questioned the toughness of this team. And something that would get you nervous, right? Because last year you were led by freshmen, and not just freshmen, but a brand new roster. And I've talked about it for this year's team. One of the things that has me nervous is what happens at the end when things are, it's just chaotic. When you feel like you're losing control. We all saw it. I think someone in the Talk Illini Discord said that it looked like Aaron Henry took over our defense in that second half, the way JT Toppin was scoring. But we saw what happened. Kylan Boswell happened. Andre Stojakovic happened. And I haven't even talked about Andre's the way I want to talk about it. I'm going to have to save that for the second segment where I really talk about the players themselves. But this team, today, again, without their best player, Tomislav Ivišić. Now, don't get me wrong. Shout out to Big Z. Big Z looked like the NBA player in that first half that he's been mocked to become when he was younger. And who knows? You guys, we got to remember, Zvonimir, I understand, has had an inconsistent 2 years in college basketball, but he's not being coached by Coach Calipari anymore. He's got Coach Underwood and he's got Coach Orlando Antigua here. And he's got his brother here. And there's just a different feeling here with this team in particular. Even the freshmen. Keaton Wagler, sure, he had his moments. And, he was, in my opinion, put in positions that he was in a tough position, especially in particular late with like 3 minutes left where he had to launch that shot. But still, how many 18-year-olds do you have? How many teams in this country have an 18-year-old on the court at the end of the game who has to make 2 free throws to ice the game? And what does he do? He makes them. Box score, again, 35 minutes for Keaton. 35 minutes for Keaton Wagler. You played Keaton Wagler 35 minutes against the number 11 team in the country. 3 for 9. Didn't make any threes today, but he was 5 for 6 from free throw land. Again, if he's not the best, he's the second best guy at creating fouls, creating physicality, getting the other team in foul trouble, which Texas Tech did. In that second half, they got their double bonus. And most importantly, Keaton Wagler, ladies and gentlemen, he led the team in rebounds. If this is correct, if the box score I'm looking at is correct, he had 7 rebounds, Keaton Wagler did. And this is a guy who was the 150th, I think, in consensus ranking. Let's go back to Andre Stojakovic, though, because I want to spend like 5 minutes talking about Andre Stojakovic. There's been a lot of talk, and me included, hand up, hand raised on this show. I've discussed the possibility, this is such a free-flowing offense. Not that I would, but is there an opportunity to just let Jake Davis start? just because he plays off the ball, he doesn't need the ball in his hand, while Andre Stojakovic does need the ball in his hand to make plays. And a lot of that talk caught on. And today, you see why this already really difficult offense, I think Champaign had us ranked, number 3? Let me know in the comment section. I think it was the number 3 offense in the country. And that was without Andre showing you what he does playing college basketball. When we signed him, there was a lot of talk about, Andres is not like his dad. His dad was a sweet shooting 3-point shooter. Andres is only shooting 32% from the field. He's not a guy who fits in with the Underwood style. Let's focus on what Andres does do well. Because you're right. He only shot 1 3-pointer today, and he missed it. But by the way, he went 11 for 16 from the field, 3 rebounds. And every time this team needed a bucket, Andres was the guy to provide it to him. We've wondered if a game is close at the end, if you're down 1, there's 10 seconds left, who's going to get the ball at the end? Because it's hard when you are a team that plays 5 out and just likes to pass it around and look for the best shot. That works for 38 minutes of the game. But at the end of a basketball game, basketball in itself, the sport, is built on individual matchups in that regard. The game slows down whether you like it or not. And at the end of a basketball game, you need to trust that you have one guy at least that can make that last, or at least want to attempt that shot. I think Illinois very comfortably has 2 of them. I was pretty confident from what I've seen all season long that Kylan, to me, looks locked in. And I'll get to his box score stats in the next segment as well. But today, you also saw what Andres can do. He did not lack any sort of confidence, not just on offense, but on defense. He was the best player in this basketball game. And I say this as a team that had a really good defensive game today. JT Toppin notwithstanding. But that's just what the best player in the country does. A lot of these individual players had not just a good offensive output, which we've seen, but on defense. Keaton Wagler. David Mirkovic did not have a great offensive game today. It felt like he made a lot of mistakes. But defensively, he was exactly where he needed to be. And he's one of those young kids who knows how to use his body. And he's a big boy. So he really does bother the opposition. But back to Andrej. As much as he contributed on the offense, which was obviously he was our best player, it was on defense. In particular, in that first half, Texas Tech is built on their pick and roll. I talked about it in the preview of this matchup. That's just what they do. Christian Anderson, JT Toppin, when you have 2 of the best players in the country, let those 2 handle the ball. Go back and forth. Find the mismatch. Andrej had Christian Anderson locked down. I thought it'd be Kylan Boswell. Most people thought it was Kylan Boswell. Most everything I read was saying who's going to win the matchup between Kylan Boswell and Christian Anderson. Turns out it wasn't Kylan Boswell. It was Andre Stojakovic on Christian Anderson. And Texas Tech had no answers. Christian Anderson, one of maybe the 15, 20 best players in the country. In 39 minutes today, he was 4 of 12 for 8 points. I said the key in my preview for this game, the key was let JT Toppin get 35 and 20. I literally think I said that. What do you end up with? 39 and 11. I said, let JT do whatever JT needs to do, but don't let anyone else beat you. Let Kylan take out Anderson, which he did. Well, him and Andre Stojakovic. And that's why right now we sit here with an 81-77 victory. I got more thoughts for you right after this. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with SupplyHouse. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? SupplyHouse has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit SupplyHouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's SupplyHouse.com. Real people, real service. Can I tell you why I think now my expectations of this team are even higher? And I'm trying not to live in the moment. I am living in the moment. Those of you who join me every post game, you know this is either going to be a therapy session or we all celebrate together. But if we're venting together, we're allowed to say anything in the chat, and it after 24 hours, people forget it. That's where I'm at right now, in the opposite end. I might be drinking the Kool-Aid extra hard right now, but it is what it is. Why I think this team can legit make the Final Four, and tell me if I'm wrong, is what we kind of saw in that first half. We knew the weakness of this basketball team overall would probably be on the defensive end. We know the offense is going to be there, and it has all season long. Again, we've been one of the most efficient teams in the entire country. But defensively, we've had some issues, in particular in the second half against Florida Gulf Coast. But again, we haven't played anybody with a pulse. We finally did today. But you know how you can wipe away or at least take advantage or minimize the disadvantage of having a poor defense? If you have a guy who looks like he's 8 feet tall under the rim blocking shots, if Zvonimir Ivišić can continue to play the way he did in that first half today, that changes everything, boys and girls. Because that all of a sudden makes the four guys in front of him not so nervous if their guy blows by him. We don't have the most athletic team, but that's what having Big Z under the rim does. He can wipe out some of your mistakes. Big Z's defensive performance in that first half, combined with Andre Stojakovic, his performance today on Christian Anderson. And by the way, I'm not even talking about Kylan Boswell yet. Kylan's the best defensive player on this team. The fact that this Illinois team defensively may be better than I thought is what makes things kind of scary for me. Like, I need to compose myself on what the ceiling of this basketball team is. Brad may know what he's doing. All offseason long, when we signed Andre Stojakovic, I talked about, hey, this could be the leading scorer on this basketball team. I'm very excited. It was a hard-fought transfer battle between us and North Carolina. They wined and dined Peja, who was at the game, by the way, today. And then he decided to commit to Illinois. We all rejoiced. And then maybe a month or two later, Brad Underwood met with media, and you get comments like, oh, yeah, we're not going to count on him for what he did, or we're not going to ask him to do what he's done in previous stops. We're going to have him focus on defense. And a lot of people took that as a red flag, that maybe something wasn't translating. But maybe we just have to take Brad for what he's trying to say. And that's, Andres is a guy who averaged, I think, 2 blocks a game last year. Someone can fact check me. Obviously, I don't have his stats up from last year. I think he averaged almost 2 blocks a game last year when he played for Cal. But maybe what Brad was seeing in these offseason workouts was a 6'7", very long forward who, unlike the other guys on the basketball team, could put forth an honest effort on defense and high IQ. How big was that last block at the end of the game? He got beat. Then the Texas Tech guy shot the ball, but Stoyakovic had enough reaction time to run back and block it. Maybe Brad Underwood saying Stoyakovic was a kid, a guy who could be a guy who's accounted less on offense, but focusing on defense. Maybe that was a compliment. Maybe a lot of us took it the wrong way. Maybe there was media members out there who spun it negatively when it didn't need to be. Maybe Brad was trying to tell us something that we weren't necessarily looking for. I don't know ultimately if Andrej is going to be the leading scorer on this basketball team. You take a look at this roster, every night it could be somebody else, which again is a good thing. But also, just because he's not the leading scorer, I'm sitting here wondering, again, it's only been like 15 minutes since the game ended. There's still the opportunity that he might end up being our best player. Maybe an MVP type of player. Because nobody does what he does on this team. I know it's, in a way, in some instances, it looks like he stops the ball. But still, when I say, and I've said this often on the show, my everydayers have heard me say this. Brad Underwood tries to build NBA teams. He sees what the league is doing, and he and Tyler Underwood, they try to adapt that model. Why? Because they know the college basketball world's going to catch up to that. The college basketball world's always 2-3 years behind the NBA. Moving the ball around, 5 out, shooting threes, that works when it works. But still, what Andres gives you is a guy when the shots aren't falling, like the second half today. Or maybe the opposing defense is going all out trying to stop your three-point shots. Andre Stojakovic gives you an NBA-sized forward who can take the ball and attack the rim. That's something nobody else on this team can do. Mihailo Petrovic can do it, but he's 6'0". And we haven't even seen him play this year. Andre Stojakovic gives you just another angle that opposing defenses have to game plan for. And this is already such a tough team to guard. It's an amazing problem to have. But it's defensively, his defense, Big Z's defense. Zvonimir Ivišić should be starting for half the teams in college basketball, more than half. Not even college basketball. Power 4, Power 5, whatever we're at now. Yeah, he slowed down a little bit in the second half. He lost a little bit of his aggression. But that's how you deal with Big Z. You saw just how good he can be in that first half. There's a couple other players I want to talk about, and we'll get to some of your comments right after this. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who'll score next to any fourth quarter comeback. Plus, you can even combine your live plays into a same game parlay for a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, no matter if your team's winning or they're losing. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's get to some of your comments real quick before I head on out. I see we're already at 25 minutes. The refs need to be investigated. Zara, yeah, I mean, that call on Kylan at the end, sure, I agree, but we very substantially won that the personal foul battle. We only got 8 fouls called against us, and Texas got 18, which, by the way, could have been a lot more. I mean, they called for like 7 travels. It quite honestly could have been 11, if not 12. Yeah, a lot of people are wondering about that flagrant call. Cookie asks, when is Tommy coming back? We don't know. I don't think it's going to be too long-term, but that's about as vague as information as I've gotten. My guess, and understand this is just a complete guess, is the worst-case scenario is he's out a month. But again, it's nice because we don't have to worry about not just starting or to start Jason Jackson, who, by the way, who else was kind of surprised he came in? I think it was like the first sub in. He came in for 3 minutes himself. Jason says they came back. Who cares? We battled and we aren't even whole yet. I love this team. Let's go. They're giving you very little to not love. Tyler says it seems like we've been winning. We haven't been winning much of these ranked non-conference games in recent years. Hopefully this is a sign of something different this year. It feels different. Does it not? I just like the way this team is built. These individual players, even the freshmen on this team, who don't have to be your best players. Even they seem very composed. Keaton Wagner, I'm just going to say it again. He plays like he's a junior. David Mirkovic didn't have a great game. He had his share of turnovers. He had 3 turnovers today. But he was very sound on the defensive end. This might be the first game where he was better on defense than he was on offense. And I know I'm saying that with JT Toppin scoring 39 points, but you just have to take my word for it. I will watch the game again probably tomorrow morning. And, for my player grades episode. But, between the freshmen, between the and combination of like seasoned veterans that you have, Kylan Boswell very early in that game. Texas Tech went on a 7-0 run. And Kylan was like, no, this is not going to happen. Which is what we wanted from him, right? When things got chaotic, like, oh, who's going to be the guy to, hey, everyone calm down. I got this. Kylan immediately, I think he may have had the first 6 points, or it was Kylan making a 3 and Mirkovic making a 3. Those two combined for the first 9 points of this game. And that's what you want your senior year captain to do. And then you have your role players. Ben Hummerkaus, shooting-wise, not great. I get it. 23 minutes. He scored 3 points, 1 of 5 from the field. But man, that guy was rebounding. He was crashing the boards. 6 rebounds. I think 5 of them were in the first half. Jake Davis, okay, fine. One guy certainly who did not have a great game. But I already talked about Zvonimir. It's the role players mixed with the veterans, mixed with the freshmen. There's just a lot about this team to like. Let's go. That's all. Jason says, if you don't all hit the like button, exactly. Chris says, can't wait to see Illinois fully healthy in Big Ten play. This is going to be a fun season. Texas Tech and Illinois are going to be tough for anyone in March. Yeah, no doubt about it. I love Texas Tech's coach. I forgot who it was, but watching that tournament game last year, I was like, this guy's really good. And then when I saw this week as I was previewing Texas Tech, I was like, I knew we were in for a tough matchup because that guy can absolutely coach. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here just because I want to record tomorrow's episode. I got so much on my mind, and I'm already almost at 30 minutes. Make sure you hit the like button here. Make sure you're subscribed to the episode, to this show if you aren't already. Also, on your way out, make sure find me on Talk Illini as well. I'm going to continue the conversation over there. I got so much for you this week, guys. We have football that we're going to talk about, but it's going to be hard to talk about a 6-3 football team when we have a national a basketball team that very well could win the national championship. So on your way out, give me an ILLINI. And until next time, ILL. Love you guys.